Welcome to the Zebra Pen, Either Way We HNC It podcast.
And as the gloriously royalty-free soundtrack fades away, I welcome you once again to the Zebra Pen. I am your host, Jed Brooks-Lewis. If this is your first time listening, thank you so much for giving us a chance, wanting to learn a little bit more about officiating, about what makes officials tick. If you come back, thank you even more. You haven't been put off by the previous episodes we've done, and we've got another fantastic one lined up for you today. I won't waste too much more time. I will just go ahead and introduce our guest for today. She is from the wonderful land of Mexico. If you are on Instagram, you might know her as La Ref Mara. If you're not following her on Instagram, you really should, because her content is absolutely fantastic. She's from, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong, Guadalajara and Jalisco. She is the wonderful La Mejor Zebra de Mexico, Mara González. Hi, Mara. How's it going?
Hi, Jed. Thank you so much for the introduction and great Spanish. Absolutely great Spanish.
Fantastic. I have to say that it's quite difficult for me not to speak that much of it, because it was my favorite subject at school and I don't get the opportunity to use it with a native speaker that much. But I realized that my Spanish speaking audience isn't that huge, and I don't really think your followers want to listen to me butchering your language. So I will try and keep it to as little as possible. Do you know Alan Kotliar?
Yeah.
So I've known Alan for 9 years now. I met him at the 2016 World Championships for the first time, and I saw him in Finland for the World Championships last year. And we always get on, we always say hello and everything. And Alan speaks perfect English, like far better than any Spanish I would ever speak. But I saw him last year, and it's like a switch flicks in my brain when I see him. And I turn into Mr. Worldwide, because it goes into, oh, ¿cómo estás, mano? Sí, claro. Despite the fact that I then catch my brain and I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I talking to him in this? Because it will be far easier for us to just speak in English. But any opportunity I get, especially because there are so many Latin American countries that play flag to a really high level, it's always a good opportunity for me to kind of practice the language as well. But like I said, we will try and keep that to an absolute minimum today. So, as I said, thank you so much for being here. I think we may as well just start off with a little bit about you, maybe a little bit about your background, how you got into officiating, how long you've been officiating, and what that journey's been like for you so far.
Okay, well, my journey is as long as yours, I think. I have been officiating for 13 years now, from 2021 as a specialty in IFAF. Before that, I have managed other rule books here in Mexico, because there are a lot of them. It's huge, the amount of information of flag football in general, and the diversity that rule books have, because we all want to play it differently, right? Because, we all have different ideas about that. So I've been officiating for 13 years now, being an expert on IFAF rulebook from 2021, and I have been playing it since 2011, I think. Yeah, it's been 14 years as a player. I studied communications, so that's why I also do content on social media, and I have tried to combine these two passions of me, which are communications and sports in general, because I think it's something great that as human beings have this ability of connecting about sports. So that's in general who I am, what I have been doing from these past years, and it's great to be here with you, and thank you so much for the invitation, and it's an honor for me.
Brilliant. Did you find that transition from playing to officiating easy? Was it a little bit difficult when you first started? I think Clace, who I had on last week, had a similar journey where he started playing and then realized, I actually really quite like officiating and I'd like to switch over to it. Did you have that moment? What was the switch that moved you from just playing into officiating as well?
It was pretty difficult for me actually because I was a pretty shy girl. I was really, really shy, and I was, yeah, so an introvert. So the only time where I was feeling fine and secure was as a player. I was a great player. So yeah, in the field as a player, it was easy. Like you don't have to think a lot. You just do, like you react and you throw the ball, you catch the ball, you have 0.2 seconds to make a decision. And as an official, you have to manage all that stuff, but also the part of communicating it and to know how to get a game the way that it has to be done. People are having a lot of emotions and they are just not connected on the moment sometimes, and how you are going to manage that, how you're going to talk to them. And that was pretty hard for me as a 17-year-old woman, and it was pretty hard for me, that transition. But also I thanked a lot officiating because it has given me this ability and this capacity of being more secure about myself, being more confident, being more present. And that's something that not other thing I have found in this kind of things. That's why I love it so much, and that's why I'm making my enterprise about that. And it's something hard,
Yeah.
but I really loved it and I enjoy it. And yeah, it was hard at first, but after studying, after preparing myself, after having the opportunity to connect with other people that are similar, their vision of this whole project and this whole flag football as something formal and serious, it has given me even more strength to continue in this journey.
Yeah, I think it's so funny you talk about being a little bit shy and introverted before officiating, because I had exactly the same thing. I think I still probably have it a little bit now, where when I'm not officiating, I am quite a shy, introverted person. I don't particularly like, I say meeting new people. I don't think it's meeting new people, but like, it's putting myself.
Socializing,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, a little bit. It drains my social battery a little bit, going out there and talking to people and everything. But it's almost like there's a switch that flicks in my head when it's officiating and I'm playing a character. Jed the official is different from Jed the person who exists in the real world, or whatever you want to call it. And I go on the field and suddenly I'm really confident. I want to talk to people. I want to communicate with players. I want to deal with coaches. And it's something that perhaps before I officiated, I perhaps didn't know that I had this in me. And then starting officiating and putting myself in these positions is almost like drawn it out of me. And I think it does. It's great that other people have that same experience, because I think you almost realize, oh, it's not just me who goes through this. Like, this is what a lot of people go through when they take it up. And it is something now. And I look back at the kind of, I mean, you started when you were 17. I started when I was 18. So similar age. And I was a boy back then, and it sounds a bit cliched, but it's almost like how officiating has turned me into the man that I am now, or something like that, how it's come to me. And it definitely has. And I think it's so interesting to see the power of officiating, the power of sport in general. This sounds really, really sort of cliched and like corny now, but I genuinely do sort of believe it almost, because it's given so much to me and helped improve me so much as a person as well. So something you talked about a little bit at the start there, you mentioned the flag scene in Mexico, lots of different rule books, lots of different kind of formats. Can you talk a little bit about what that scene looks like now, both just in terms of the playing, from the officiating as well? Is it mainly the majority of the games being played? Are they under IFAF? Is it evenly split between different sort of rule sets?
I think officiating over here has been sometimes hard because you have so much passion over here. Like Latino people in general, we are so passionate about almost everything we do. Like we're going to party and we party so hard. We're going to play a sport, we do it so intense. And that kind of energy and that kind of personalities that are involved in a game only, it's a lot take in consideration to manage the game. I think it has been a pretty philosophical journey, actually, because you start to realizing the different kind of type of games that people have, of strategies and all that kind of stuff, because there are people that they are going from the line that it's marked, like the rule book says this, and its intention it's to make people better. But there are other people that the rule book says this, and I'm going to take an advantage of that to win,
Of
even
course,
though I have to step on somebody else. So it's hard to have these all thoughts in after a game, because during the game you just mark the things that you have to mark. You just have maybe 1-2 doubts about, maybe I could have done this differently or whatever. But after the game, you start to thinking about all the stuff that are involved in just the match, the different personalities, the things that they are going to bring to the field. Like today, somebody at my work shouted at me or make me feel bad, and I'm going to put that feeling on the field, and maybe I'm going to shout now to the official,
Yeah.
So we have to be psychologists, we have to be people manager in general. So it's hard to find these different kind of game types and game styles, sorry, and also to start watching all the different videos that are currently being so viral on the social media, making these different more present, like the differences between USA flag are huge about the type of game that is in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
In USA flag, it's so much contact. Also, NFL flag football, it's currently making some adjustments, and it's hard as an official to adapt and adjust to all that different styles. But I think it's also part of the job, and I think that it's necessary to also bring more people to this part of the sport, because not many people want to be official because of all the responsibilities that come with it.
Yeah.
So it has been interesting. I say I have a lot of thoughts after a game, after a tournament. I become so philosophical about that, and I think it's also the reason that I'm still doing this.
Yeah. There's so much I can jump off that answer. Fantastic answer. I'm gonna pick some bit. I mean, like the bit that stuck in my mind was you talked about like apps that go viral and everything, and it always makes me laugh when these kind of clips go around and they get posted over here. And you always have to, if you're asked a question about it, you always have to caveat it with like under IFAF rules, because like what might have been happening in that game might be completely legal and completely acceptable. And then we look at it under what we play and what you're kind of an expert in, and it's like, well, actually, if we're playing under IFAF, no, you can't jump over someone like that or something. So it's always a fun one to do. And you talked about that Latin passion, and one thing that I've learned from officiating internationally is all these stereotypes that exist about different countries are all rooted a little bit in fact. You've got Latin Americans very passionate, very expressive. You've got Italians who will do this, in your face when they're upset with something. You've got Germans, so some of my best officiating friends are Germans, and they love rules. They absolutely love like technical, like reading them in that really proper way and say, well, actually, this is what it means if you go by this sentence here and this sentence here. So it is always something that I find so interesting, that those things are like cliches, but when you actually, you travel around the world, meet all these people from these different places, you start thinking, well, they're rooted in a little bit of truth, aren't they? They can't exist perhaps for a reason. But, I always love, I've officiated, a couple of 3 world championships. Yeah, 3 world championships I've officiated at. And I always love doing Mexico, because both the men and the women, because there's always so much going on, like in terms of what you have to rule on. There's so much multiple QB stuff. As you talked about, there's that passion as well. So you're having to try and not keep a lid on it, because we want players to be passionate, but we want to make sure that we keep them almost in check a little bit as well, isn't it? So there's always that challenge that we have with it. when you're officiating week in, week out, what size crew do you normally officiate with? Is it just 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you?
Normally, it's only 2 of us. Yeah, we're
I asked that as a quite a loaded question because I kind of knew that it was normally 2 of you, because especially because of a lot of your videos that I've watched, it's always 2. And maybe like when I first started officiating, so 14 years ago, I could do 2. I was 18. I'll do crew of 2 all day. I will run all day. I'm 33 now, and the idea of doing like a whole day on a crew of 2 just fills me with absolute terror, because there's just so much running like involved in that, isn't it? So it's yeah, I've seen I've seen some of your videos, and I think, God, they must work so hard, like especially on the sort of hot days and everything like that. That must be, you must have some draining days at tournaments from the officiating side of things.
Well, we should have some training and some physical training also, but we don't have it. That's what I'm working on, because actually that's what it's happening over here, like tournaments and leagues, they don't have the budget to invest in
Yeah, sure.
more of
More
that. So
officials.
that's the job that we're making over here. And also there are tournaments that are already investing on that. There are leagues that are already investing on that. But yeah, most of them, it's only 2 people on the crew, and it's a lot of work. You can't see everything that
Right.
is going to happen. It's a fact that you are going to have a mistake. So that's
Are
what
the teams often quite understanding of that? They know that there's
no, they don't understand it, and that's also the things that we're trying to be part of it, like
yeah,
make all the community conscious about the things that they have to be working on, because flag football, it's a baby. Actually, it has been for a few years only, and there are a lot of things that we have to work as a community, and there are a lot of gaps that we're not attending, and one of them is officiating with the people that are really there to officiate a game, because over here in Mexico, it's also so known that if you're going to work on a league, it's because you are already a player too.
Yeah.
So there are a few of us that only work on a league or on a tournament only as an official.
yeah,
The other people are players and officials.
They're a player first and then an official, as
Yeah.
opposed to being
So
officiating is their thing.
yeah, and also the mindset, the physical abilities, the focus. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't being attended on
Yeah.
that. So yeah, with Alan, precisely like with projects like Paradise Football, and with me with Just Flag and over Uno Flag and other stuff, we are trying to make this statement, like, if you're going to have a tournament, if you're going to have a league, you have to have people that are only there to officiate the games,
Absolutely.
not to play and officiate games.
Yeah.
You need to choose your role. You need to choose if you're going to be a player, if you're going to be a promoter, if you're going to be everything, right? So it's hard, it's necessary also, and I think it's a process. So it's not going to happen over the day, like this night it's already done. Like it's a process, it's a long process, and that's the part that we're taking. Like we're choosing the role that we have to choose. We are adjusting and adapting to the conditions that also are given to us. So yeah, with only 2 people managing a game, officiating a game, it's hard, but right now it's necessary, and it's a work.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate it now, because I predominantly work referee, and it feels like you need your eyes almost like a chameleon or something, because I need to look back at the quarterback and watch the blitzer as well, but then I also need to be looking here, and oh god, it stresses me out even thinking about working in Cruiser 2, like, and sort of that side of things. So the fact that you guys are doing that week in, week out means that you are absolute heroes. It's amazing the quality you're putting in. And I think what was probably quite reassuring to hear is that the sort of issues that you describe with people who are players first, officials second, I think that's something that is a bit of an issue worldwide. Like we have exactly the same challenge here in the UK, where at the moment I'm trying to build up a group of people who are just officials, because you can't, the sort of, especially if you're working at higher and higher levels, the input required from you to be a good official is so much. There's so much learning that you need to do. There's so much video review, all that stuff around it, and trying to split between being a player sometimes and then an official sometimes. Obviously, they're players first, so that means that officiating side of things gets neglected a little bit. But what I always tend to find is that the people who complain the most about officiating are the ones who at least want to get involved with it and least want to kind of help the process as well. They're more than happy to kind of like bitch and moan about individual calls or whatever, but they don't want to be involved in that process of making it better and making the organization better and finding more officials. They just want to kind of sit on the sideline and throw cans, don't they?
Yeah, totally. It's the people that most have these complaints about officiating part are the people that never are going to use stripes. Like
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
going to do that. Yeah.
No. So I think, you sort of touched on it briefly there as you were talking about your projects that you have been involved in. Like I said, you got your very own almost brand, haven't you, on Instagram? You mentioned, you've got a few different irons in the fire, let's put it that way. Can you talk a little bit about what sort of inspired you to do that and what you've got going on at the moment?
Okay. Well, as a social media promoter, it has been
Refluencer.
also
That's what I would call you as. You're a refluencer. Like
a reference. Great. I like the
you can
term.
have that one for free as well, Mara. Like if you want to
Thank you
take
so
that.
much. Thank you so much for that term. I love it. What started as something, I don't know, it started in 2018, I think. I was in college over that time lapse, and I wanted to go to March for the 8th of March, like the International Women's Day, but I couldn't go because I had to go to the field. I had to be officiating some games, and also I was a player. So I was like Sunday, and in my mood is to go to field. So I want to give something to women, to women that are on the flag football community. So I record a video of being playing like a girl, like it was simple, like you play like a girl from different voices, male voices, and while a woman was preparing herself to start a game, and just like some line like, that's interesting that you use it as something bad or something like that.
And it's like
Uh,
sort of reclaiming that phrase
yeah.
almost, like,
And
you
then
play like a
just
girl.
a bunch of highlights of women making great plays. So after I uploaded that video, it went viral. So I was like, oh my God,
I did something.
yeah, how does this happen? It was just some video that I wanted to give to the community, and I was like, okay, maybe I can do something like that for the community, right? And being in front of the camera was something that was so challenging for me, also because of this part of the being shy and being a little bit introvert and all that stuff. But I started to like it. And also in 2020, when we went to the pandemic, the thing that made me feel closer to the field was making content about it. Like flag football is this, and teaching it, because a lot of my friends were bothering me like, what is that? That's even not a sport and all that
Yeah.
things. So I tried to start doing that kind of videos, and then I tried to do it as a blog, but it didn't have like much impact as the educational content.
Yeah.
And last year, that project was named De Tocho Un Poco, which in English it doesn't have like a translation.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
so Mexico, because even in Latin America, it's tocho bandera. It's not something that people understand as a sport. They understand it as a game, you know, like, yeah, a kid's game. So football, it's more global. And last year I made the rebranding of this project and I named it Just Flag Football, talking about that it's more than just flag. Like, that's our slogan. It's more than just flag. It's more than just a game. It's more than just 40 minutes of playing with the ball. It's the study, the preparation, the concepts, philosophy, sorry, the ethical part, the human part, the rule part. It's a lot. So I started to making these videos that like, people knew me as a official, you know. So
Yeah.
they started to send me some videos like, what have you called? Because they didn't like the call that officials over there made, right? So
Yeah.
I gave them an objective look and tell them like it was a good call, or maybe they had a mistake, you know.
Yeah.
And I started to realizing that, and I said like, we need to know more about the rules, because people doesn't know the rules. People doesn't sit down and read the rule book. There are so few teams that do this board part. Like, we need to study the plays in paper, you know,
Yeah.
and the rules on paper, like what you can and you can't do. And videos and social media, it's more easy to understand, to hear, to, you know, to connect with. So I just started doing it like, okay, I can bring the information this way. It's going to be useful for the people, and it's also going to be useful for us as officials, because people are going to be more prepared, are going to know more about what we are doing, and they are maybe going to respect us more.
Yeah.
Also, it's the other part where people doesn't respect that this thing that I do on social media, because they are like, no, you need to be like unknown. And also the IFAF official manual, it says so, you know, like,
Yeah.
people doesn't have to know you. You don't have to talk about some play if it's not necessary. But also, I think it's the part where you need to understand which is your role. I
Yeah.
know that maybe there is going to be a time where I need to be off the field.
Yeah.
And it's hurtful actually, but it's also a reality that I need to do for my dreams, because I want to be part of this change and this revolution that we're
Yeah.
making for the next generations, you know.
Absolutely.
The next officials over here in Mexico, I want them not to be in this part of, we are only two official crew.
Yeah.
We are now at a three official crew. Like,
Yeah.
we are now having water. We are now having food, because that's something that didn't happen in the past, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And like, I think that's something that I preach about a lot here, is like that official welfare thing, and it's looking after those officials, because ultimately it's quite a thankless job, isn't it? Like, everyone just expects you to turn up, be perfect, and then go home, and they don't care about like, oh, officials need water, officials need, you know, officials are doing a whole day. It's not like teams who maybe do 3 or 4 games. Like, we might be officiating all day, and it's like, let's give them proper breaks and stuff like that, you know, and kind of building that in. And it's interesting, you talked about that attitude towards officials doing social media and like the sort of stuff that you do, the sort of stuff that we're doing right now, and how, you know, people want us to be anonymous, all that stuff. And I think it almost goes against Flag's such a community, isn't it? And it's such an open community, and that sharing of knowledge and all that stuff, it's, which makes it quite different, I think, from a lot of other sports. So, you know, personally, I think the sort of any opportunity where, you know, we can get in front of a camera, or we can get up on social media and we can talk about specific situations, or we can talk about how stuff should be officiated or whatever, those are just really, really good for us. I mean, the first video of yours that I saw, and I don't know if you'll even remember this video, but there's a video and you were talking to a field judge and you were talking about how they should backpedal and then transition in away from backpedaling. And I saw that and I was just thought, wow, this is perfect, because I love that sort of stuff. And it's stuff that perhaps, we don't think about, and how we move and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, this is really, really good. This is so useful for like people who are perhaps just starting out and want to get some fundamentals around it, and just ended up following you. And here we are, I guess, talking together. So having that kind of content is so beneficial for the community as a whole, not just officials. If it's education pieces for teams, they understand rules better, it makes our jobs a little bit easier as well, doesn't it? So I just think it's so valuable for everyone. So one of the things I think you were talking about how you kind of got started with this content was about women in sport, and it's always been something that I'm super passionate about. I know the opportunities that I get from flag football and from sport as a whole, and I want it to be an environment and a community that's welcoming to everyone, regardless of gender, background, whatever. And I think when I was the coordinator of officials at the 2021 World Championships, one of the things that I wanted to do was put out an all-female crew for one of the medal games. So we did the bronze medal game with an all-female crew, and it was brilliant. It was the first time that had ever been done at an IFAF tournament. I was so proud of the women that I had on the field, because they worked so hard, and it wasn't just something that was, we should do this, just because it looks good or whatever. They all earned their place there as well. So can you talk maybe a little bit about the challenges of being a woman in what is perhaps quite a traditionally masculine environment, isn't it? And like the stuff that comes around that. Do you find it difficult at all? Did you find it difficult when you were first starting out, and it's something that's maybe got easier with 15 years of experience?
Yeah, at first it wasn't as hard. I think it was like, it wasn't a subject, I didn't see it as a subject, as something that I had to pay attention to. After years started to pass, I have found myself in some situations that are uncomfortable, like, it's like, are you not taking my opinion or my voice or whatever because of my gender? But after that, I think it has been easier. Like, we are making so much noise, we are making so much difference, and we are doing things right. Like, we are all of us, like men and women, we are working together, as we should be doing it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy, you can be part of the sports. And that's also the campaigns that are happening right now with Diana Flores, with I have forgotten the name of Billie Jean. Oh my God, sorry, Billie Jean. I have watched the story of Billie Jean, where she had this match with a male that was like, so it's great, and it's fabulous to watch these differences that are happening right now. And
there's been so much progress, hasn't there, even in quite a short amount of time. And you see at the IFAF tournaments I go to, you see more and more female officials as a part of that. And I think there's still quite a long way to go, but it's certainly moving in the right way. I mean, and you're right when you talked about how you perhaps used to feel like, oh, do they talk to me differently because I'm a woman versus how they might talk to a male official? One of my closest friends over here who I officiate tackle football with, I notice it sometimes, that how coaches and players perhaps talk to her, and I'll talk to them, and it'll be exactly the same point. It's not like this is a common thing. Like, you don't think this happens all the time, but occasionally you do notice like how that coach interacted with her is very, very different from how I know he would, interact with me as a man. And, you do notice these things. And I think it is, still something that, needs progress and needs work. But, certainly, as you say, like, it's so improved from where we were sort of even 5 or 10 years ago. The progress that we're making, and it's all about getting that representation. And I think that is a little bit about, it's almost like, I think a little officiating almost gets forgotten about a little bit when it comes to that representation, because you have from a playing perspective, you know, you have people like Diana who are Super Bowl commercials and all that kind of stuff, and these really, really powerful voices for women's sport from a playing perspective. But it's almost like, you know, we're the forgotten element, aren't we, as officials? And there's so many, I've met so many amazing women officials who do such a great job, and like their whole story is so fantastic. And I feel like that's something that needs amplifying as well as just the players. We need to be showing off that there's a place in every aspect of flag football and sport in general for women, you know, whatever that kind of role, be it administration, be it officiating, and obviously coaching and playing as well. So, I mean, sort of changing subject a little bit, where would you like your career in officiating to go from where you are right now? You know, you talked about where you've come from and what's kind of happened over the last 14 years or whatever. Where do you want it to go sort of moving forwards? You know, you're still very young in terms of sort of officiating, a similar sort of point to me. You know, like I started when I was 18. I've got 14 years experience now. I'm still only 33. So like, and I presume you're kind of in a sort of similar boat. Where do you want it to sort of go in the next 5-10 years?
Well, actually, I want to go internationally because that's something that I haven't checked on my list. I want to be part of the most important tournaments over the world, like being in the IFAF World Championship would be an honor for me. I have been pre-selected as an official here in Mexico, but um, all the processes over here are complicated to go over there. So maybe it's going to be, I don't know, by myself, by other medias, and I don't know. I'm still figuring it out, but it's a fact that I'm going to be participating internationally. That it's going to happen. That's not something that is
Question of
going
when,
to.
not if, for it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And I hope it's going to be soon enough. I hopeful. And I think, I don't know. I think I'm going to retire young. Actually, I think I'm going to retire young to be part of this suit. You know, like you have to put on a suit and talk about economics. You need to know
yeah,
to talk about logistic. You need to talk about a lot of the entrepreneur part. You know,
yeah.
like I think I'm going to be more in the business part.
And that kind
And
of administration side of
yeah,
the sport as well, not just, yeah, for officiating. I mean, officiating itself needs lots of administration, doesn't it?
yeah,
And then obviously the sport as a whole needs it. I guess that's something that I really enjoy as well. I mean, I'm in this weird position in my career where I love the on-field stuff I do. Obviously, that's my passion. That's what drives me. But then I do off-field stuff where it's, for example, coaching new officials, and I get so much from that. I love watching people. So a couple of months ago, I was in Denmark at a tournament where I went not to officiate. I just went to watch games for people and give them feedback and all that kind of stuff. And I got so much from it. It's so rewarding. But at the same time, I'm thinking, oh yeah, but you know, 2028's coming up. I want to go.
yeah. Of course. I would
I
love to
want to
be
push
over
that.
there. Yeah. But also, I don't know. I think sometimes that maybe my participation as an official on the field is going to be like an extension of me, you know, like my
Yeah,
students, because I also have an academy right now.
yeah,
Like one of them, I want them to be over there in that stages, you
yeah,
know. I want that for me too, but if I think that it's going to happen, I don't know when,
yeah.
you know. But also if they have the chance, I have seen just that some of my friends, she was, I don't know if it was Ireland, I think.
Yes,
She
it was,
participated.
because I was watching the I was watching the Irish final, like the
Yeah,
stream of it, and I sent a message to Carla, who is one of my close officiating friends. She's Brazilian, but she's lived in Ireland for like 10 years now or something, and she's, you know, done a lot of flag football. I sent her a message. Oh, who was this new official on the because I go over there a couple of times a year, perhaps. So I know quite a few of the sort of officials like on the Irish flag scene. I recognise them, and there was someone new on the sideline. I sent Carla a message saying, "Oh, who's this at field judge? They look really good." So like, I think it was over in Ireland. So it's good to see like those kind of people that I guess it's rewarding for you to kind of see those people that you've got connections with starting to succeed in other places as well.
Yeah. Like I said, like she's my friend. She was my teammate in
Yeah,
at some point as a player. We were teammates and we had such a connection on the field. Like she was wide receiver, I was quarterback, and
yeah,
we had so much connection and so much. Yeah, we are so close. So
yeah,
I just watched her. We worked together last year on the first tournament, professional tournament over here in Mexico.
yeah.
I was the one who coordinated the professional tournament over here, and I invited her, and she did an outstanding job. So now she has on her curriculum like professional flag football in Mexico and professional flag football on Ireland. So it's great for me, like to watch that and to be able to know all these great personalities, like
Yeah.
knowing you also, and the fact that you knew me because of my videos. It was also fantastic. Like it's something that it's making more opportunities to come. So I don't know. I think like in 10 years, yeah, I see myself as a I don't know how to say, yeah, businesswoman. But on the field, I think that I have going to be participating as an official, but also as a coordinator, also as a media, because that's like the great part also about all these things that right now I can do like all of them. And I know that there's going to be a time that I'm going to have to choose one as my first character, yeah, and the others maybe are going to be some hobbies, like yeah.
Yeah, like you do a little bit of officiating,
Yeah.
just to keep you going, but it's not the on-field stuff isn't your be all and end all of everything.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, I just do this to I enjoy it, as opposed to this is because I'm very much in that kind of phase where what I do on the field, that is my week revolves around getting on the field at the end of it.
Yeah.
My job just exists, my normal real job just exists to pay my bills so that I can get to the end of the week and go and do what I love, basically. And I think it comes a point where you kind of almost like you've got too many plates spinning, haven't you? Like, if you've got like this admin stuff, you've got all your stuff that you're doing with social media, you've got your actual on-field officiating stuff as well, and you need to make that decision on, right, this is the one that I want to be my focus. But I guess while you can still keep them all spinning around and everything,
yeah, to try not to be more on everything, like be
and
more
and
focused.
end up burning yourself out or something.
Yeah, it has already happened to me, so I've learned about that.
No,
And
I know
like now,
exactly the same. I have exactly the same kind of feelings, because if ever someone asks me, will you do this? I can't say no to these sort of things. I'll be like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll figure out a way of doing it. I think about the consequences of how I'm going to fit it in later. Like that's future Jed's problem. I'm a people pleaser. I want to say, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll help out with it. And then you end up with about a to-do list that's like 50 items long, and you're trying to like figure out, all right, how do I actually manage all of this?
yeah, it's too much, and it's because we're passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also I think it's I don't know, this quality of us to be able to have some different subjects on our mind, but
Yeah,
sometimes you need to filter them so they are not going to be like
absolutely.
too much.
Exactly. So, one thing I always like to ask kind of people who come on is what's some of your favorite memories of kind of, or like experiences that you've had in kind of your officiating career so far? What really kind of stands out as like, that was my happy place, that's something I look back at and think, wow, that was amazing.
Well, I think the first time that I participated on a college tournament over here, like it was so serious and so important. Like it was the first college tournament towards I don't know how to say it in English. It's Universiada. It's like the Olympics, but for college people.
Yeah, like university kind of sport sort of thing.
Yeah. And that first experience was like me going out there to play a game. It was for me like that. After that, and after I was conscious about all the things that involve this job, this work, I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize the importance of the thing that I was doing. Like, it was so important, the work that we were doing over there, and it was like not a lot of pressure because I didn't know, like, ignorance
Yeah.
made me happy over that over there. And also, like, there are a few tournaments over here in Mexico that are not that big, but they bring officials from other parts of Mexico. So when I started to have these journeys with my friends, and I started to understand, like, we were a team also of officials, that we were sharing this passion,
Yeah.
those moments were like so beautifully involved in my experience as
Yeah.
a official. But also the day when I was an official in the LMT, like Liga Mexicana de Tocho. It's one of the biggest
Yeah.
leagues over here in Mexico. And I went to the Interestatal. It was like a national tournament.
Mm.
And we were only three girls over there. One of them was the woman that went to Ireland. And we were only three girls over there. And it was such a high level, and it was like a lot of marketing behind that. They gave me, actually, Alan was the coordinator of that, and he gave me the referee of the final of the women's play.
Yeah.
But game, sorry. But the climatic conditions didn't work out for us, and we got the games suspended, both finals in the men's part and in the women's part. So after that, I saw that the league was going to bring the Chiapas team, one of the teams that make it to the final, to Mexico City. So I asked them if I had the chance to go over there. Like, they gave me the chance, and yeah, they pay my travel, my expenses. And it was also a great experience. I was so nervous because I was wearing a microphone, and as I
It's
already
always
said,
scary. It's always scary, like when they put the microphone on it. I
yeah,
get that now. Like, I've been doing this, 15 years or whatever. I did a tackle game last weekend and I had a mic on, and I spent the whole game paranoid. Have I turned the mic off? Is the mic on? Can they hear me? Like, is this, like, do I sound okay on it? Like, the first thing I didn't care about any of the actual calls that I had made in the game. The first thing that I went, because it had been streamed and everything, the first thing I did was like, right, I want to watch me and listen to how I sounded. Like, because you get so self-conscious with it, don't you?
yeah, it was. Oh my God, I had the video where I'm doing the toss. My God, I sound so bad. Like, I was so nervous, and I was hearing my voice like 2 or 3 seconds later, and that made me
Yeah,
like
oh,
that.
yeah, especially,
Yeah,
if it's over the stadium speakers and it's delayed and, oh God, it's,
yeah, no, it was awful. But also, it was great. I mean, it was such an experience. And after 2 or 3 plays, that all
it all,
nervous and all that
it all
stuff, like,
disappears. Yeah, it all
yeah,
goes,
it went
doesn't it?
away. And I was so happy to have that chance. I have had the opportunity to officiate in almost all of the states over here in Mexico. So I think, like, knowing and connecting with all that people around Mexico, and have the chance to know other types of game, other types of officiating, and that has made me even more aware of where I am, who I am, and what I'm doing. Like, I think that my job has been, yeah, it has a lot of recognition, of good recognition over here. Some bad comments also with that, but it's part of, like, making the difference and making a
It's
change.
sport. It happens, I think I think part of one of the things that I thought I developed or had to develop when I first started, I took a lot of that criticism very, very personally.
Yeah.
And I think it can affect you on quite a deep sort of emotional level if you are taking it personally. Like, it can really mess you up. And I think it was, only 8 or 9 years into doing this that I started realizing, like, a certain amount of it is just noise, and people just will say that sort of stuff just because they're frustrated. Doesn't make it right, it doesn't make it good. doesn't make it fair, but you start realizing that it's not just I am a terrible official. It's just people want to make that kind of noise around it, don't they? So I guess almost like the opposite of what I just asked you. Do you have any memories that stand out of like particularly sort of challenging games, experiences where you thought, God, I've really kind of learned something from that? And what did you sort of learn from those experiences?
Yeah, I have had a lot of them.
Not too many, not too many. I think
And
everyone
I
has a
mean,
few. Like, she's
no,
going to pull out a manuscript now.
I have had like two. One of them, it's a social media refluencer, where I talked about this challenging part of being an official where you are on the field all day. And I talked about how many games I had over the weekend. Like they were too much. So I did that video. And after that, some doors closed for me. Some opportunities started to closing, but also a lot of them started to opening. I think that's one of them, like starting to receive these bad comments and that all this criticism. But as an official, it was this year actually. I had a participation on one of the biggest tournaments over here in Mexico, and I had a mistake that affected directly the result of the game. So at that point, I was like so tired. I had like, it was my number 60 game on that 4 days. Yeah,
God.
I was so tired. I was like, I made myself to go to the limit, and it was a part of what I accepted also, but it affected on the result. Like it was fourth down, and it was third down. I said fourth down, and we gave the other team the first down. So they were recording the game. I was like blocked. I didn't know what was happening over there. They were like two last minutes, and I decided that it was first down for the other team. And after having some rest and watching the game and everything, I realized my mistake, and I had to make a
I
public
think you made
apology.
a video about this, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. I did a video.
I left a comment in like quite bad Spanish about quite a supportive comment. It was the first time I commented on some of your content. I was like, because I sort of half understood it, and I was like, I know exactly what you feel like in those sort of situations, because everyone has made a big mistake like that in the past, haven't they? And it's hard not to almost carry that with you, isn't it?
Yeah, but also what I was thinking about, that I didn't mention that memory. Like I could officiate two of the games of Vanita Crouch and all the USA flag football team. So was also great. Like I had this kind of level, and I had the capacity to manage the game in Spanish and English, because when I was making the calls, I did it in Spanish for the Mexican team, and then I was doing it in English for the crew. Like it was the name of the team. So I was so proud of myself. Like I can talk, I can switch my ability to talk, and also technical language, because I have been studying the rule book in English. I have been studying the manual in English. So I was so proud of myself because of that, and I was like, why am letting this mistake to block all the good things that I was.
I also think that like if an official tells you they've never had a situation where they lose or think they've lost a down, they've either not been officiating very long or they are lying to you, because I think it has happened to everyone. I can remember it was the World Championships in 2018, I think it was, in Panama, and I was doing Denmark against USA. It was a quarterfinal, I think, or a semi-final, and we just had that moment where you're just like, pardon my French, oh shit, like what is it second or third? And we stopped, and I was thinking, and you just can't figure out, like, and I think what happens in those situations as well is time feels so much longer than it actually is, and you look back on, say, the video, and you were only talking about it for 30 seconds, a minute. Whereas on the field, it feels like you're talking about it for like 10 minutes and you're thinking,
Yeah.
all these spectators are looking at me. They're all bored. Like they're all wondering what the hell is going on. And then you actually watch it back on film. And you're like, actually, that conversation only lasted 30 seconds. Like it felt so much worse at the time or something.
Yeah, of course. Like that time lapse, it's yeah,
So
undescribable.
I'll leave it with my final question. And I ask this to everyone who comes on. It's a magical scenario where you, Mara, have been made queen of the IFAF rulebook, and you now have the power to change any rule within that rulebook that you like. Anyone that you find annoying, you don't like, you have the power. So what is the first rule in the IFAF rulebook that you're going, right, I want to go and fix that?
Oh my God. This is like something of how to say it, like that I would like to, not as an official, actually, but as a player, because it makes the game more dynamic. The pitch, like being able to have
Yeah,
a backward pass
like they have in a
beyond
lot of
the finish
the
line.
leagues in the US and stuff like that.
Yeah. And maybe the field, maybe eh, make the field a little bit longer.
Longer,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
But
great. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
do see some of the clips from the US, especially where they just start pitching the ball around, and it looks a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it looks a little bit crazy at times, and it does almost turn it a little bit into rugby, which is like a sort of thing from over here. But I do understand like why you would want to kind of introduce that, because it is very. The word you use, dynamic, it is very dynamic. It is very exciting. It means that every play has the opportunity to be explosive and there to be a score as a part of it, doesn't it? So that is a very, very. My last guest gave a really, really boring answer about the penalties for illegal runs, so I will take that as a really good one. Well, that brings us to the end of another great episode. I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Mara, for giving up your time to be a part of that. You've been absolutely fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic sort of rest of your season. You get to do some, great officiating, get to go to some great tournaments, and it just keeps growing from there. But yeah, thank you very much for being a guest today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And it was so good to talk to you, and it's so encouraging to continue on this path and also to get to know you. It was so magnificent, and I hope that we don't lose touch,
And where can we find you on Instagram? That's the most important bit. Give us a plug.
You can find me as La Ref Mara with double F, LARAFFMARA. I was good at spelling
Yeah,
it.
there we go. Laref Mara at Laref Mara on Instagram. Find her, follow her, enjoy her content. Like I said, I understand about 60% of it. It's all fantastic. If there is any more English language ones coming, that would be fantastic as well. But I don't want to press you. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.